requests nearly 40 billion from Congress for fire aid. Governor Gavin Newsom is asking Congress to provide nearly 40 billion in disaster funding to help Los Angeles recover and rebuild from the wind-driven fires that swept across Pacific Palisades and Altadena last month. In a letter sent to congressional leaders as well as the top members on the House and Senate Appropriation Committees that was obtained by the Washington Post, Newsom told lawmakers that both Altadena and Pacific Palisades are dealing with widespread devastation after what he has described as California's most destructive fires to date. The total impact on California's economy will take years to fully quantify, Newsom wrote in the letter sent Friday night. He said that the state may have to make additional funding requests in the future, but that the dollars requested will directly support these communities in both the immediate and long-term recovery work needed to rebuild lives and properties from this catastrophic event. California's request formally opens what could be continuous debate with some House Republicans, including Speaker Mike Johnson from Louisiana, who have said they want to attach conditions to disaster aid sent to the Democratic-run state. While President Joe Biden was still in office, he promised California leaders that the federal government would reimburse 100% of the initial fire recovery cost for 180 days. But damage estimates have varied widely, and state officials say the full extent of destruction is still being tabulated. This funding request includes about $6.8 billion in fire response costs, debris removal, and the repair of roads, bridges, public buildings, and utilities. It also accounts for some of the hazard mitigation money to help prevent the next disaster. All the funding that will be coordinated through the Federal Emergency Management Agency. An additional $9.9 billion would be directed toward housing costs and infrastructure. $2 billion would go toward low-income housing tax credits according to documents reviewed by Post. The package Newsom is requesting would also include $4.3 billion for economic development grants from the Commerce Department to help seed the growth of businesses in the fire-affected areas and make public works investments. An additional $5.3 billion disbursed by the Small Business Administration would go toward low-interest loans to businesses, homeowners, renters, and nonprofit organizations in the areas affected by the fires. About $51 million would be for grants to dislocated workers and unemployment assistance for workers such as self-employed professionals who do not qualify for regular unemployment benefits. The governor is requesting $350 million for work like brush clearance and forest management on the federal lands in California, efforts that would be carried out by the U.S. Forest Service. During his recent visit to survey the fire damage, President Donald Trump said the burn area looked as though it got hit by a bomb, and he promised that the federal government would help rebuild, proclaiming that there could be an age without the Golden State. Newsom had a subsequent meeting with the president at the White House, very productive, stating that both he and Trump are committed to completing the work with unprecedented speed. Newsom noted that Trump, a former developer and real estate mogul, spoke with him in granular detail about debris removal timelines and how the state is expanding permitting processes for rebuilding. But the next trend of funding, while willingness of Republican lawmakers who wants provides a Democratic-run state at a politically volatile, some of them would like to use the power of the purse to force California to what they consider to be woke liberal policies in the state. During the campaign, Trump often threatened to withhold disaster aid from places that did not support him. As the fires were raging, he railed against California water policy and deemed the state's leaders, including Newsom, to be incompetent. But it is unclear whether the president will ask Republicans to tie specific demands to any aid that Congress doles out. During an appearance at the Conservative Political Action Conference in Washington on Friday, Trump's special envoy for special missions, Richard Reynolds, officials say they expect the Army Corps work to be completed within a year. As hurricane force gusts were still driving the fires and wreaking havoc in Southern California last month, GOP members voted ideas for aid conditions that include state water policy that changes any requirements for voter ID. The suggestions drew outrage from Democratic leaders, who said such demands were unconscionable when more than 100,000 people had to evacuate to escape the blazes and more than 16,000 structures were ultimately burned. And some Republican lawmakers, including Republican John Kim, condemned the calls for conditional aid. Democrats argued that attaching strings to California's disaster assistance would set a terrible precedent and noted that recent hurricane funding for mostly GOP states passed without conditions. The language of Newsom's draft letter is straightforward. He made no mention of the political adjusting that animated the initial conversation over last month. In a January 10th letter to Trump inviting him to come to California to see the fire damage firsthand, Newsom argued that in the spirit of this great country, we must not politicize human tragedy or spread disinformation from the sidelines. While in Washington, the California government also met with Republican members of Congress to emphasize how much work California had done throughout his time in office to justify capabilities, increasing the budget for managing the forest by 10 times since 2019, and $2 billion investment in addition to the $200 million that the state spends annually. Cal Fire's budget has nearly doubled since 2019 from $2 billion to $3.8 billion. About 57% of California's forests are managed by the federal government. The state government manages only about 3% of forest land, according to the governor's office. Talks between Democrats and Republicans about funding the government are at a standstill as March 14 deadline looms. Attempt to get an early start shaping the narrative, Senate Minority Leader Charles E. Schumer from New York recently told colleagues in a letter that there is the potential for a Trump shutdown, and he noted that Democrats have the power to block any Republican-led funding deal. That is a move at least one Democratic senator has suggested their party could use to protest the effort by Trump and his billionaire donor Elon Musk to dismantle several federal agencies in their push to eradicate what they view as wasteful spending in the budget. Republicans have struggled to meet funding deadlines over the past few years because of strenuous opposition from far-right lawmakers, and they have had to repeatedly turn to Democrats for help. The House Budget Committee recently introduced a GOP budget proposal that would allocate $90 billion to the Homeland Security Committee, which oversees FEMA. House GOP leaders have adamant that they will do budget reconciliation through a single bill, even though Senate Republicans have suggested approaching Trump's policy priorities through at least two bills. Johnson needs to support of nearly all House Republicans to get the bill passed in the closely divided chamber, assuming there is no Democratic support. Anyways, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment down below what you think. Follow me on Instagram, The Studio